Hey, and welcome to Matt and Jess TV. I am Matt
And
Rose.
I'm Jessica Bun Bun.
Welcome to our review of the Black Mirror episode Bete Noire. This is season 7, episode 2.
hmm
For everyone out there, and I say this because I had to look this up, the title basically means, something that is a great annoyance to you, something that you really, really dislike. I guess you could kind of view that as Maria's mindset for a big part of this episode, or
hmm
Verity's feelings towards Maria, or however else you want to take it.
I really like shows and movies that are kind of about somebody who was done wrong in the past or in high school and horrible things have happened to them. And then they come back and they take out the person who did that to them. While I didn't get that at the ending of this whole episode was just that beautiful revenge that I absolutely love watching.
It's weird because halfway through this episode, I was sort of sitting back and being like, okay, where is this going? I feel like we've watched Maria be paranoid for a really, really long time here. Are they going to stick the landing? But
Mhm.
it turned out to have a really, really entertaining end. Like, this is a crazy episode. It's a weird episode. It's exploring some things that I think are really, really fascinating to me. Unlike Common People, the first episode we have a review for here, like that episode is really depressing. I could see myself watching this episode again just because it's just out there and weird and a little bit even fun at times.
Yeah, I would watch this episode again. I had a fun time with this.
Well, we're going to get into everything that worked in this episode. Rest assured, we are not chugging any almond milk over the course of it. But
No,
before,
I am oat milk all day.
yeah, see, oat milk a little bit better than almond milk. But before we go further, be sure to hit that subscribe
Right.
button. We will have more coverage of Black Mirror through the entirety of this season. And in addition to covering that, we are also in the midst of The Handmaid's Tale. We've
Mhm.
got The Last of Us on the way. There is so much good stuff happening here at the channel.
Yeah, Nine Perfect Strangers is coming up in May. Dexter is coming up as well. We've got lots going on here. So hit that subscribe button. Also, follow us over on our Patreon if you want to talk to us more about Black Mirror.
Yeah.
And you want to see our reviews of The Pit, which is
Mhm.
airing on Max, and Bosch Legacy, which is in its final season. We are covering those two shows over there exclusively. It is the only place that you can get those reviews. And it does help support Matt and I here at the channel. So thank you so much.
Thank you guys so much. And I just want to start this off with an interesting question for you guys in the comments and also for you. Is there something comforting about having a Black Mirror episode, and this may sound weird, that is just so quintessentially British as this one? Because it really does kind of go back to the origins of the show. And I've seen
Mhm.
people who have levied criticism that, oh, Black Mirror hasn't been as good when we have all these like super recognizable people in it, and then you're taken out of the show a little bit. Like, I really did actually enjoy the fact that I didn't know all the actors in this episode. Like, I felt really, really immersed in this story, and it felt old school in a delightful way.
Like sometimes that can happen, of course. Like
Yeah.
we did just cover Common People. That did not happen for me with Rashida Jones, who is a pretty famous actress. And here I didn't know anybody that was in it, and it didn't really change anything between these two episodes. I enjoyed both of them quite a lot.
Yeah, I just felt like this episode, it was a little bit unclear to me, like I said, like midway through where exactly we were going to be going or what the message was going to be. But we'll set the table. We have Maria, who has a pretty stable job, but then all of a sudden, in comes Verity, this person from her past who we know that she has a little bit of a history with.
Okay, so Verity. I looked up this name because her name is Verity Green,
Yeah.
and vert in French means green. So I was like, okay, is her name Green Green? So I looked up Verity. Verity actually doesn't mean green. It means being true, real, or correct,
Yeah.
which I thought was pretty interesting considering what this whole kind of episode is about, which is high school revenge, basically, at this point, right? Like, Maria did something to Verity in high school, and there was a group of girls, the Mean Girls, that did this thing to her. And as she became richer and more powerful and more successful, she tried all these different things to try to make herself feel better about what happened to her back then, but nothing really worked because the rumor that they had spread
Mhm.
was so vile about her as a teenager having this relationship with a teacher, that she was doing things with him behind closed doors. That can affect your entire life. Like, even when Maria was kind of like, oh, kids are mean, kids say things, you got to
Yeah.
kind of, move past it. It's just like, no, no, stop. Accountability.
Yeah.
Yes, kids say mean things, sure,
Yeah.
but those things do affect people and they change who people are going into the future.
Yeah.
Some people are unable to move past them, and stuff like this happens where later on in life you're kind of like revenge. So
Yeah.
it's, you still have to take accountability. You can't just be like, oh, kids are mean.
Yeah. And like, even if
I did
you,
not like Maria. I'm sorry. I did not root for her. I did not want to see her be the empress at the end of all of this. I was not here for her.
I was not here for her either, just from the vantage point that's like, okay, you did some really bad stuff. And yeah, even if you had forgiveness, like even if that existed, that does not mean somebody's going to forget. And it's a very different distinction. Like you can't just wash away the past. And I'm not sitting here
No.
and saying Verity is like some angel at this point either, but I'm not surprised that she wanted some element of vengeance at this point in her life.
Yeah, I totally understand where Verity is coming from. And Maria's not even taking real responsibility for it.
Yeah.
She's like, even in her private life, like blaming it on Natalie. It wasn't her. It was Natalie that
Yeah.
did this sort of thing. She's taking no responsibility for what she did. So even when she gets to the point where she's kind of like, oh man, when Verity's like, yeah, this really affected me in
Yeah.
all the worst ways. I was a kid, a young girl growing up, going through high school, and having this kind of a rumor that's circulating that got to the point that it basically might as well be true, that she was unable to handle it. You've got Maria who's like, kind of apologizing, but you can't apologize if you're not actually admitting that you did it.
Yeah, and that's the big thing, and that's not something that she ever really seemed to grasp. But what I did like as we sort of built and built towards the final Verity Maria showdown closer to the end of the episode is just like all these little incidents where it felt like Maria knew that she knew something and was so confident, and it was proven wrong. And I thought the way in which the show did this was more and more effective over time. Like the almond milk scene to me is just like the one that's easily the most
So funny.
entertaining, because like even when they were pulling up those security footage, like we all knew that it was going to show Maria drinking the almond milk at that point, but just the sight of actually seeing it was so effective and comical and weird that I was waiting for it, and I was excited what the aftermath was going to be.
Yeah, I mean, we all knew something was going on because every time she held this necklace, something happened, right? But there was a part of me at the beginning that I was like, is this kind of the Mandela effect of what is going on? Because
Yeah.
like I remember when the whole like bear stained bears thing came out, where I was like, no, it's the Bearstein Bears. I know it is. I know it in my heart.
Yeah.
And then it's like, no, it never was. It was always the Bearstein Bears. And I'm just like, oh my goodness. And so many of us felt that way about it, like they brought up with the Monopoly guy with the monocle. I'm
Yeah.
just like, wait, he doesn't have a monocle? What are you talking about? He doesn't have a monocle. I had to go back and Google it. I'm like, oh my God, he doesn't have a monocle. Like, I was like, they are really setting this up that maybe that's what this is about.
Yeah, and that's sort of something that's just so it's so effective and it's so omnipresent in society. Like back in the olden days, I am old enough to be in a world where video games did not always have voice acting. So I would see certain words or phrases and I would be like, oh, this is how you pronounce it. And then they would come out with voice acting. And I was just like, no, that's wrong. It's how I initially pronounced it. So it's like that Mandela effect part of the episode. It worked effectively until we got to the point where it's like, okay, clearly this is not the Mandela effect anymore. Something more is going on. So we get to this big revelation with the necklace and how exactly Verity is controlling this.
Yeah, and it was really interesting to hear about because, like, that whole almond milk thing where
Yeah.
Maria's just like, I have a nut allergy.
Yeah.
Watching them repeat back, like, nut allergy? I don't know what that is. I was just like, oh my God, how is
Yeah.
this happening?
It was so bizarre, but just the way they even played it out. I think they wanted us to question our own sanity at times watching it, which I think was really, really good. And here is the most hilarious thing that's coming out of all of this to me. Verity explained her own personal multiverse better than the Marvel Cinematic Universe has explained theirs in the past, like, several years. Black Mirror figured it out in just, like, a matter of minutes, where it was just like, oh, I can pull from any one of my infinite multiverses depending on whatever I need to see fit in order to ensure that you look like a clown. It's just like, congratulations, guys. You figured this out. I have no idea what's going on with any of these Marvel movies.
No, I don't either. And it was an explanation that I understood.
Yeah, and that's really important if you're dealing with like sort of these broad concepts of like, oh, in this universe that happened. No, in this universe that happened. And I kind of like, it reminds me a little bit of the series finale of The Good Place, which, not to spoil a show that's been over many, many years now, where all these characters get sort of to the good place and they can have whatever they want, they can do whatever they want, but eventually they all kind of realize that that's not enough for them. And Verity's in the same place. Like, she can have anything, she can do anything. And, you know, the thing that she's missing is a little more extreme here, where she really wants some sort of vengeance for what happened to her. But it is just sort of this interesting concept, right? Where you can do whatever you want. You can go anywhere. People can worship you, but you know what? It's not going to take the pain away.
No, and it's something, you know, we have been covering the White Lotus here throughout the whole season, and throughout that show, they were also having a very similar sort of discussion with the character of Rick over there. This isn't giving anything away, but just sort of that idea of, is revenge really going to fill that emptiness that's in your soul, or that part of you that is broken? And the answer is no. Like we saw here with Verity, yeah, she has people worshiping her, anything she wants. None of it was working. Then she ends up using this, and then she said, oh, it took me, 5 weeks to break Natalie to the point that she, did what she did, and she's no longer with us anymore. And it still didn't fill her soul. And for her, she was like, well, she told me that you did it. And to me, I'm kind of like, well, even if Verity got Maria to die, is that still gonna fill her soul? And I think the answer is no.
Yeah, nothing ultimately would happen. I think Verity is continuously searching for something that does not really exist. Like, I think the only way that she could actually find some element of peace is dig within herself. I don't know. It's kind of ironic. She can do anything in the world, but she can't exactly go to therapy. I mean, maybe she did, but I'm just saying that
maybe it didn't work.
It just feels like there's something that's always going to be missing unless she does something different than what she's been doing. And I think that's what's kind of interesting about this episode, really, is that you can look at Verity, you can look at Maria, and everybody's going to have their own interpretation of this, right? Like, for me, I feel like the two have one commonality in that neither one of them really wanted to dig that deep into themselves and try to find a way to move forward. They just want to solve their problems with some sort of quick, superficial solutions that allow them to temporarily play God, when it's just like, okay, playing God, that doesn't fix anything.
The thing that I am glad that they didn't do, and I was a little bit worried was coming, was that the teacher was still going to be involved. That it turns out that her and the teacher are now in some sort of relationship and they're doing this together, sort of thing. There was a minute that I was like, oh no, the teacher is going to come in, when Maria was actually on her property and was like, what is this mansion? She's, on Vogue. She's an astronaut. She's this, she's all these things. I was like, is the teacher back here on a computer, making everything happen? I was like, thank goodness that wasn't actually happening, and that it was really about what these girls, and Maria specifically, did to her in high school that changed the course of her life in the most negative of ways.
Yeah, I'm just glad it was very focused on just a small number of characters in the end. We're not throwing anybody else in there, and it's about the specific decisions that these women are making in their lives right now, what Verity has done, and what ultimately Maria decides to do in this moment in order to try to get a little bit of her power back.
I couldn't believe this last final scene of her as sort of the Empress, and these cops on their knees after everything that she had done in that room. I was just like, oh no, what kind of cycle is this going to turn into? She's the person that actually started the rumor, and is this cruel? And now she has unlimited power. That's not great.
Okay, I'm gonna go through my range of emotions here. First and foremost, I'll say my immediate reaction was that I didn't like the ending, but it mostly because at first it felt to me like the end of an SNL sketch where they're like, "Oh, we don't really know where to end this. We're just gonna have her be the Empress now." But then I kind of sat back, like, okay, it's not. That's not the point. So the point here, at least to me, is that you know what, Maria was never really the hero because she started the rumor. She
No.
said everything happened to her, and ultimately, like you said earlier, she didn't want to take responsibility for it. And so, yeah, she stopped these things from happening to her. But what she decides to do with this power, yeah, she gets herself out of this situation. But instead of doing something like, I don't know, I'm going to try to build a world where there's less hunger for those starving or anything else that could, I'm just going to make myself the Empress. Then I was like, okay, I actually do like the ending because they're basically telling me that, you know, this person is just as narcissistic as anybody else, who she just is obsessed with herself and wants power and is just going to use that to achieve that end.
I didn't like the ending as much, and that's just because for me, I like these stories of someone who was done wrong in high school, comes for revenge, and gets revenge. Making it that Maria was drinking some almond milk and ended up losing her job,
Yeah.
does that really, equal out in karma of what happened to this child in high school?
No.
No. So for her getting to end with all the power, it's very Black Mirror.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it fits absolutely within the world of Black Mirror that the bad people end up getting what they want.
Yeah.
That's how it works, right? But for me, I like a revenge where there's actual revenge that is happening. And I feel like not enough revenge happened.
I understand that fully because it's left us with this icky feeling of, okay, this person's got unlimited power and they clearly don't deserve it based on
Right.
everything that we've seen.
Yeah, so nothing that Verity
Yeah.
did, oh, she's lost her job, none of it matters anymore. She can go back
Yeah.
and be like, I am the CEO of this chocolate bar company. Okay, great.
I mean, there is this part of me that's just like, oh, you guys could have shown us way more with the power because it could have been really fun. We could have seen X, Y, or Z. But
Maybe there'll be a sequel.
they're kind of, hey, I mean, we've got one coming later this season.
That's
So
right.
it's certainly possible, but it's also, I'm kind of like sitting back and thinking about, it's like, okay, that's not really the point of what they're trying to give me at this very moment. It's not about that she can do anything. It's about she wants to do this specific thing. And this specific thing shows us exactly who it is that this character is. And I think Bete Noire, it's a very good episode. If I'm sort of thinking overall, I'm trying to like compare it to episode 1. It's like, I think episode 1 to me may be like the actual stronger episode, but at the same time, doesn't mean I actually want to watch it again. Like we went over that in the review of episode 1. I'd much rather watch this one again. But both of these episodes so far in season 7, like I would wager they are better than the majority of what we got last season. And I love Jonah's Awful. And,
Yes.
I do very much enjoy Demon 79. I don't think I like it as much as you do.
I loved it.
But, like those are some of the high points of that season. But so far, we are very, very consistent in this season. Let's hope there are no just complete crashes out that happen coming up.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard when you're doing these one-off episodes that everyone is, going to be a winner and we're not going to get some Maisie days in there.
Okay, well, before I go on any Maisie Day tangents here, what did you guys think about this particular episode of Black Mirror? Were you unsettled by the ending? What do you wish we had that we didn't get? Let us know in the comments, and also hit that subscribe button for more Black Mirror content in addition to shows like The Last of Us and The Handmaid's Tale. And you can support us further by joining our Patreon. That link is in the description. We are covering exclusively in video form there, The Pit and also Bosch Legacy. Thank you guys so much. We'll see you here next time.